What are your memories of school? Did you enjoy lessons and get good grades, or was the classroom really not your thing? Well, despite struggling with dyslexia at school, Helen Boyle has gone on to set up her own company, which employs hundreds of tutors to help stop children falling behind in education. Helen believes education's not one size fits all and has dedicated her life to helping children with various needs. So Helen came to chat to me. I asked her, first of all, how she became a tutor and if teaching is something she's always been interested in.
I've been in the classroom for about 20 years now, and through that I've seen children who find it hard to access the curriculum. I've also seen those who fly the curriculum. I've also experienced the pitfalls of where children struggle and they can get left behind. And that was really my inspiration, to help those children who might just need to access the curriculum at a slower pace and have the parents involved in how the curriculum works and how children can develop and move forwards in it.
Okay, so what is different with your approach then? Why does it work so well?
Children learn differently. Some children like practical resources. Children love IT as well. So in the lessons, I incorporate all of that. They have the one-to-one tutor, so they build up a really good bond with the tutor. And in the background, I liaise with the schools, because I think that's really important that we all come together to move that child forward. We give each child access to our learning platform, and they might have some practical resources to work on throughout the week. Especially the younger children, they learn a lot through play.
What sort of age ranges do you actually offer tuition for?
It's from children aged 3 or 4. They might have English as a second language, and it goes right up to people who are studying A-level, who might just need a little bit of help with A-levels or university.
Right. So lots of different ages, lots of different backgrounds, and I guess lots of different struggles as well.
Yes, of course, we have students who are physically and mentally disabled. We teach and work with them to help them in the community, to have an idea about change they might get at a shop, how to manage their money and their well-being, if you like. We teach people who might have English as a second language, both a parent who might not have the confidence in the community and to work with the children. A lot of the time you get families with English as a second language where the children are really fluent in English but the parents don't understand, and it's nice to have that bridge where we can speak to the parents and they know how the curriculum works, but their daughter or son might be translating for them, and we are going to and from the school. And I think the schools really appreciate that side of work, which we do, as well as working with children who are really good at the curriculum but need those higher grades.
So do you go into schools? Do you tutor at home?
We do prefer to tutor at home because that's where children are comfortable, and a lot of the students, if they are struggling to access the curriculum, they might be feeling a bit vulnerable, a bit sort of apprehensive about tutoring coming in. So we do prefer to do it in the home. They know the parents are there, and also parents can listen in so they know the child's fine, they're not just dropping them off and running. We do know that tutoring is expensive. It's not always able to work for everybody for that cost, and we have recently opened a learning centre which is based in North Shields, and that just allows the tuition to be at a reduced cost, and we still have facilities where parents can stay. I think it can be a bit of a stretch to say to parents to go if they're dropping a 5-year-old off.
It must have been a big thing, you know, if you've been in tutoring, if you've been in teaching, to actually, you know, take that leap, I guess, and start your own business. How was that? What point did you make that decision in life?
It was quite a leap. It started when I opened a little maths club. Working in a school, I saw a lot of children who did struggle, but it wasn't really their ability. It was just the curriculum has so much to cover, a fast pace. They were getting a bit left behind. So I started opening a club in about 2014 where children could come and do practical activities with friends, and it really pushed them on. We did algebra dominoes and different activities, and it really inspired a lot of the children for their love of maths and that they could do it. And from there, parents said, oh, could you come to the home? Tutor pushed them on a bit more. Now it's gone to a national company which helps people of all backgrounds. But the one thing they all have in common is they want to learn and they can learn. They just all need different techniques.
And that's an interesting thing, isn't it? The idea that children benefit from different approaches. It obviously takes a lot of time and resources for teachers to sit down and say, right, they would benefit from this kind of teaching method. And I guess that's not always possible in the classroom.
No, it's not. You've got approximately 30 children in the classroom. You might, if you're lucky, have 2 members of staff. And schools, they do take children who are maybe struggling to access the curriculum out to work with a member staff, sort of 1 to 5, which is really good, and that's everything that the school can do. But those children then begin to realise that they are struggling, so that begins to impact on them. The parents wonder why they're struggling, and sometimes they might just need to sit down with some practical activities and just have a light bulb moment and be able to move on. We work with the child, we speak to the parent, say it's okay, show how they are progressing. Sometimes working with the school highlights a lot of extra areas where teacher might say, oh, they can't do this, and we can say, oh, but they did, we used this activity, and it's just confidence that they don't want to shine in the class. It's easier to say they don't. So we can sort of say they can do it, give them the push.
That's Helen Boyle chatting to me at BBC Newcastle, Radio for the North East. More from Helen in the next 15 minutes. I'm going to talk to her about the fact that many people struggle with dyslexia and how she would describe it, because she has dyslexia as well, and that's on the way in the next 15 minutes. Blondie next, and then clue number 2 for Lisa's Litlands.
It's one of the best agricultural events in the North East.
The Lanchester Show is a great family day out with...
What are your memories of school? That's what we've been asking about. Despite struggling with dyslexia and leaving school with 1 GCSE, North East mam Helen Boyle went on to set up her own tutoring company. She believes learning is not one size fits all, after observing many children within classrooms struggling to keep up with the pace of lessons and also lacking in confidence. And one of the things that many people struggle with is dyslexia. I asked Helen how she would describe it.
I'm dyslexic myself, so I think to best describe dyslexia is you need a lot of repetition. You might be able to do something when you've got help with a teacher, but an hour later you might get a bit rusty, and often you can be misinterpreted as not taking notice, not concentrating.
It could be seen as a behavioural issue, can't it?
It can.
Or it has done in the past very much, so it's changing now, isn't it?
It is. Sometimes I think if you don't acknowledge dyslexia, children can get really frustrated, and that frustration can come out as a behaviour problem. What we try and do is focus, help them to take things apart, build with flashcards. But dyslexia is something a lot of children do have, and parents have the frustration as to how to help them.
Yeah.
And I think working with the child, with the parent and the school, saying we've got these resources, children can come forwards from that, and when they do move forward, often your dyslexic children are the most creative and can think outside of the box.
And I think also, when you go in and you say, well, I am dyslexic, they can see that it doesn't need to be a barrier. It doesn't have to be a barrier, or it can be something that you can overcome. I mean, did you struggle at school yourself?
I did struggle a lot. It took away my confidence, and I was open to bullying. It was frustrating because I remember doing long division and I had to make all these flashcards, and I was told, stop faffing about and get on with it. But that's what people with dyslexia need. They need repetition and they need strategies.
Yeah.
They can't just be told. I think the restrictions in classrooms as well are people with dyslexia ask a lot of questions.
Right.
They need to be answered, and if they're not, it's a bit of a wall coming up, like how do I get over that wall? They can ask those questions and we can relay those back to the school as well.
Brilliant. Is it true your son has dyslexia?
Yes, my youngest son.
So how did you feel when he was diagnosed then?
I was relieved in a way, because he has all the traits, and it's knowing how to bring that back and just say, we'll walk away from it, leave it. He's only 7, so we do cubes, we take our time with reading books. He's getting to the age where he can see he's not on the same book as his friends, and it's frustrating. And that's where the importance of things like bedtime stories and enjoying books, so he doesn't come against books.
For people who have children who maybe are struggling, they realise they need to approach education in a slightly different way, or even manage those frustrations, what would you say to them?
I would say speak to us and just tell us frustrations, how your child's doing. We can talk through your different ways forward.
And I think that reassurance that there are ways forward as well is really important, isn't it?
It is. I think it's really important to be there for the child, to work with the school, to work with the parents. People might not want tuition every week. They might want it every other week. They might want it once a month. It all depends. It has to fit in family life, and it has to be careful that it doesn't come down on a child if they're young and think, oh my gosh, I go to school and I've got more tutoring and I don't even like school at the minute. You've got to approach it slowly, gradually, and be quite informal with it to make it fun, and children learn if they do have fun.
Yeah, so you're in a comfortable environment, you're not worried. I mean, you mentioned that it all started with Little Math Club in 2014, and it's going incredibly well because you are nationwide. Is it tutoring in 17 areas now, Helen?
It is, yes. It just sort of grows. I think it's our technique. There's about 400 tutors altogether who go out. Some people want just a couple of hours. Some do it as a full-time job leaving school. We've got students who have anxiety, who get Skype tuition, and that suits them because they can shut the computer off if they get overloaded.
So I guess for you it's not just been about being a tutor, you've had to learn how to be a businesswoman as well.
Yes, but it hasn't always been easy because my love is working with children and teaching. I do have a fantastic marketing people on who are Deliver Media, who they come and say you need to do this, and they're very business organised, so they'll keep me right. But to be honest, I think I might frustrate them more than I help them because I'll say, I'm going off to work with some children now. They're like, no, you can't do that. But
yeah, we need your signature on a few things.
Yeah, but I do teach and work with children myself.
So you're still very hands-on in the business then?
Yeah, because that's the part I love.
What you want, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think my favourite part is when parents come and they might be a bit worried, and just to put that reassurance, and then a few months later they come back and say, oh, they're loving school, they've gone up a set in maths or English, and that's part of it, just to have a child who enjoys school again. And then we can say we can back off the tuition. They might not need it every week, they might just need it once a month, but we're still here for them when they reach that point.
Because I know you're tutoring someone actually who is on course to be selected for the Olympics, aren't you?
That's right, yes.
I mean,
yes.
It must be amazing to be part of that person's life as well.
It is, yes. He chose tutoring because it's not restricted to school holidays.
So it could be a lifestyle thing, really, couldn't it?
It can,
yeah.
Yes. And we liaise with the councils to say, here's our teaching plan. This is what this child has achieved moving forwards. But working towards Olympics is his main area, so we wouldn't ever step on that. We work around him, which might not be as easy if he studied at school.
Fantastic. Lovely to talk to you. And that website again, Helen?
It's www.hbtutoring.com.
Helen Boyle chatting to me at BBC Newcastle, Radio for the North East, and hopefully reassuring if you have a child in your family and it seems like school, it's not quite working the way you'd hoped, or indeed they'd hoped. One size doesn't fit all when it comes to education, as Helen said there. It's BBC Newcastle, Radio for the North East. David Gray on the way.